proven very difficult to get out. It's about time I talk about anime in more depth, and since this is a Patreon request, this review just fired its way to the top of my priorities. Don't say I'm not good to you guys. I have to confess here that I had never seen or even heard of Anohana prior to being asked to review this series, and oh man, do I feel bad for that. Oh man, this is going to hurt, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so before we start here, this must be done.
Spoiler warnings are gone.
This review is going to be full of spoilers. You have been warned. Anohana, the flower we saw that day, is an 11-episode long 2011 Japanese anime television series produced by A1 Pictures and directed by Tatsuyuki Nagai, a noted member of Anime Studio Sunrise. Anohana is an anime that deals with teenage characters going through grief, getting over the loss of a friend who tragically died following an accident. A group of 6 childhood friends drift apart after one of them, Maiko Menma Honma, dies in an accident. 10 years after the incident, the leader of the group, Jinta Yadami, has withdrawn from society and lives as a recluse. The ghost of an older-looking Menma appears before him and asks to have a wish granted, reasoning that she cannot pass on into the afterlife until it is fulfilled. At first, he only tries to help her minimally because he thinks he is simply hallucinating. But since Menma does not remember what her wish is, Jinta gathers his estranged friends together once again, believing that they are the key to resolving this problem. All of the group join him, though most of them do so reluctantly. However, things grow increasingly complicated when his friends accuse him of not being able to get over the death of Menma, for Jinta is the only one who can see Menma's ghost and his friends think he is just seeing things. But as matters progress, it is realised that Jinta is not the only person in the group who is having trouble letting go of the past. It is revealed that a majority of the group members blame themselves for Menma's death, and long-hidden feelings are rekindled. The group struggles as they try to help Menma move on and help each other move on as well. We've all had to experience the loss of a loved one at some point, and many shows and movies deal with this very subject. However, I haven't come across many that deal with going through grief after the loss. This subject is usually dodged or not dealt with in a realistic way, and in animation it's even rarer. This is what I feel makes Anohana stand out from other anime. The way that Menma dies is never fully revealed, but is instead implied, and this made me feel unsettled when watching this anime. I was waiting for the why to be answered, waiting for this anime to show flashbacks showing or at least explaining how Menma died, and it never was explained. I even had to watch the series again to make sure I didn't actually miss an episode. But then it hit me. We always ask why people die, and that is never truly answered, especially when it was an accidental death. The not knowing made for an unsettling viewing, but I guess that was the intent. Grief has physical, cognitive, behavioural, social and philosophical dimensions, and each of these, as well as the stages of grief, are represented in part by the 5 main characters of the series. Though this series deals more with how adolescents deal with grief, which is far different to say how a grown adult deals with it. The 5 ways of grieving are exemplified by the nomad, the memorialist, the normalizers, the activists and the seekers. Of course, each and every individual deals with grief in varying ways. They may be resilient, recover quickly, or it may be chronic, prolonged dysfunction, or even delayed. Adolescents may respond by delinquency, or oppositely become overachievers. All of these symptoms and stages are portrayed in some way in this anime, might it be through the powerful emotional expressions and body language of the animation of the characters, or something far more subtle, such as the times of silence and reflection, which are at times more powerful than anything loud and dramatic. We see the majority of the story through the eyes of Jinta. Prior to Menma's death, he was energetic and outgoing, but became a recluse, refusing to go to school. It is through his eyes that we see the ghost of Menma, though he insists to himself that he is seeing just a manifestation of his stress. Through the series, Jinta finds it impossible to accept Menma's death and refuses to let her go, so has been unable to grieve and move on. Menma herself is fully aware she is dead, and is a positive, talkative and the most lively character of the group. How ironic. She values her childhood memories above all else and the friendships she shared with the other characters, and finds it tragic that they have let their friendships shrivel away. She holds no feelings of regret and does not blame anyone for her death, but wishes to fulfill a promise she made to Jinta's mother, a wish of some sort, though she can never remember exactly what it is, so it is up to Jinta to figure it out so Menma can eventually pass on to heaven. As moving as this anime is due to its themes, we have to look at it subjectively. Does it perhaps deal with the stages and behavioural characteristics of grief in a too literal and symbolic sense? I would say so. Menma was perhaps put on a pedestal, and I feel like we didn't get to know her well enough to fully relate to the character's grief. But saying that, we can fill in the gaps ourselves because of how the characters felt about each other in regards to whether they considered themselves friends or something beyond that. Anohana is an anime that is short, sweet, and tragic, and deals with a subject very rarely explored in a very bold and black and white kind of way, but it does have its quirks, with Menma's ghost being able to interact with the world around her like she is simply invisible. I personally could have done without this, as it ruined the tone for the show a little for me, but other than that small gripe, this was an impressive piece of animation, and one that should have caught my attention sooner. I will no doubt return to this anime again in the future, and I highly recommend it to anyone who hasn't seen it. Just be prepared for a huge punch in the feels, okay? Yeah, you might need some tissues. I'm Mad Munchkin. Stay creative. Hey, thanks for watching this video, and before you go, don't forget to show your support by hitting that like button. That will help me out a lot. Or if you really like this video, check out some of my other stuff I've done. And hey, go ahead and subscribe too if you want. You can also show your support by supporting me on Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, or you can also check out my DeviantArt page for my artworks, as well as find out how you can buy my artwork and even get some commissioned work too. Thanks for watching, see you again soon.